Hey there, welcome back to a new design walkthrough. This template is called Jigsaw. So obviously it is meant to have this puzzle type of look to it, with the pieces kind of breaking apart there. And just wanted to jump in and take a look at these layers so you can see how easy this is to use and customize this for your own looks. So let's jump right over here to our layers and take a look at what's going on here. So starting at the top, as per usual, I have some finishing color grading layers here, which are going to add some contrast and some saturation and just make the final thing pop. Again, this could always be expanded in this group. There's a couple of different layers, and these opacities could be changed around to kind of suit the taste of what you're looking to do there. But that's what's going on there. Right below that, we have some facial highlight boosts for lighter and darker skin tones. We'll turn a subject on and take a look at that in just a minute, but very easy to use there. Just below that, these are our foreground puzzle pieces. So these are all like the loose puzzle pieces. If we expand this group, we can see that these are all individually layered. So these could be moved and changed as you would like. Now you're going to notice the way that I've set this up so that this whole puzzle background can be updated just with one layer is through using smart objects. So you're going to see that each piece here has a smart object layer attached to it. And I've just labeled these do not edit because you really don't need to touch these. We're going to take a look at how this is going to change, but each one of these pieces is going to have that background attached to it via a smart object. So that's what all of that is going on there. You're going to see a few of these pieces have kind of some motion blur in behind them to give that look of like they're kind of bursting out there, and that could be turned off or on depending on your needs there. So all of these pieces again are in here. You could turn them all off and on to see which ones are what, and if you want to move those around, absolutely feel free to do that. Alright, so there's our layered puzzle pieces. Below that, we start to get into our subject group here. So again, marked in red is where the subject is going to go. Attached to that group, we just have some shading for the bottom subject. We'll take a look again when our subject's on. And then we have, once again, a nested subject group. So if we expand this group, you're going to see subject in this group, but then within that group is another group to place the subject in this group. And you can see our subject here. And the reason we do this is because we can do some layered effects by nesting these groups like this. So for instance, if I turn our subject on, you can see that within the first group here, there is a drop shadow effect attached to this. So you could turn this on if you wanted to add a drop shadow onto this subject easily. Just turn that on and you can create some of that separation if you want them to feel like they're standing off of that background a little bit more. Or you could turn that off if you like as well. But then on the group above that, we actually have some masking, which is actually what's doing the masking along this puzzle line down here. You can see if we hold shift and disable this, that's what's actually giving us our cutout shape. So you can just drop your subject in and they'll fit right in there. And then here's that bottom shading on the subject that can be turned off and on. It's just to give them a little bit of darkening down here where that layers in with that puzzle shape. Alright, so there's our subject on. Just below that, this is actually our puzzle outline. So that's what's giving our background the look of those puzzle pieces. Attached to that, this is just, I like the look of lightening those lines up, but on some instances I like where the lines are darker. So I just layered this lighten outline blacks layer in here. If you just wanted to brighten those up and make them more in that gray range versus the black range. So that's just an option there. Now just below that is what's going to handle our background. So if we turn this off and on, you can see it's just turning that whole background image off and on. And it is masked here for that cutout for the top and the bottom cutouts here of the puzzle pieces. But if we expand this group, this is just where our background image is at. And it's going to tell you replace this smart object with the new background. Alright, so just to show you how easy that is, you can double click right here on this little thumbnail on the icon, which is going to launch a new document window of the smart object. So by default in here I've got this sample sky. I've also got some sample light leaks, which I think look really cool, and this sample kind of digital pattern that looks really cool too. And then you can also turn on, there's a colorizing layer if you wanted to colorize that whole background to be one color tone. you could do that and just move your hue saturation sliders around to create that look as well. But for instance, you can set, one of these sample backgrounds. You're going to close this document window. It's going to ask if you want to save. Just say yes. And it's going to automatically update that background, but it's also going to update all of those floating puzzle pieces to match. And you can see they're all kind of turned at an angle to feel like they've kind of popped out and they're moving around. So all of that's going to automatically update, all right, to make it really easy. And so you could also go in here, let's open this back up, if you want to drop your own custom backgrounds in. So for instance, come over here, let's say I want to drop this field image in. Let's just grab this image, and I'm going to drag it over here, drop it in. Let's resize this to fit. So Command or Control T, we'll bring this up. Let's apply this. So now you could drop in your own school, or your own field, or just your own background, or whatever you like. You can drop it in here and very easily update this whole puzzle background with all the pieces just by dropping that image and saving. Alright, so very easy to use there and to update that. Let's go on down. So here's our text layers. So in that background at the top there, I just have a place for the subject's name, and then below that we have I just have their team name in there and the year. Alright, so this is just all simple text. The link to the sample fonts that I'm using is on the product page if you'd like to use the same font. But let's update this. So just double click on the text here. Again, simple text. So let's just put in the new team name. Alright, and I'll apply that. And let's go up here to the name. And we'll update this. Alright, so there's the new name layered in behind there. And then this is just a process of tweaking color, a couple different colors. So we have some outlines and text colors, and then there's also this background color right here. So let's double click on this. This is just a solid color fill. So you could sample out here onto, say, a jersey color, or you could come pick your own custom colors if you wanted that to fill, more in the white or the dark side. But I think I'm going to leave this to some of the uniform color here. So let's just pick and see what tone I like. That looks pretty good right there. Let's click OK. And then if you wanted to adjust the text, again, we could come to the first name here. Let's see what that looks like if we made that black, the white outline, or you could leave it white, and instead you could come into these stroke lines here, and you could change the stroke colors. But I think everything's looking pretty good actually how it is. I like the white with white. You're going to take notice on this first stroke here. By default, a lot of these opacities are set to 0, which just kind of gives you that transparent look. So again, feel free to jump in here, play around with all these options. You can kind of see it's very simple to use, but you can create some really cool effects and easily update those backgrounds for your own looks. So let's come up. The last thing I want to do is come up to our facial highlights. I'm just going to grab a white brush. Let's make sure it's on a soft round brush, and let's bring the brush size up and just paint over the face here with that brush. And the whole point of this layer here is just to brighten those facial highlights, because again, this is a portrait, so we do want attention to be on our subject, and so I like brightening their face to give that attention there where it should be. So again, above that there's one for darker skin tones as well. But you can always change the opacities and things on those for, kind of what you're trying to do, the look that you're after. But there you go. There's a brief walkthrough of what's going on with this template design. So I hope that you have a lot of use out of this one, a lot of success, and I can't wait to see what you do with it. See you on the next one.